Okay, welcome downtown Portland, week 107, Justice for Qadira. And before we get started, I just want to address this since it's something that's kind of going around. There was a tweet by Brandon Farley and Andy No that's been seen, I don't know, 320,000 times now, I think. That's what I'm looking at anyway. As people who watched this rally know, last week, Antifa and BLM showed up out of the blue. They did not try to disrupt the protest, as per what the tweet said. They just kind of stood around and then went and did their own thing. I wanted to address the tweet simply because it just included some of our ideas about gender ideology. I think it's highly ironic. We've been out here for 2 years, and finally this protest is being seen, and that's what's being seen of it. But I will go ahead and double down on what I said last week. You know, I think biological women are in a lot of trouble on this planet because, you know, in privileged Western nations where we're having these discussions about gender ideology, you know, there's places in the world you can't have these conversations, and women are just being brutalized as a result of it. But women are being brutalized here, and I think that I am living proof of that. You know, as a main speaker at this rally, you can see that we get very, very little support. No support, really. We're pretty much down here alone every week. I don't really understand why. Except for, you know, I think the reality is that, you know, women have primarily never been respected on this planet. You know, we've been fighting for women's rights for thousands of years. We finally got a few in the last 100 years, pretty much. Just got out of the house 40 years ago, pretty much, out into the workforce, and now that's all being ripped away. Because you can see, you know, over in Afghanistan, the women are literally being, you know, locked back in the house. And they don't get to say, oh, we're men and we get to come out and do what we want. No, they just get beaten and slapped down and thrown back into closets. So women's rights is a huge issue for me and my husband. Obviously, we are fighting for our little girl. You know, women of color, we're on the bottom rung. I don't care how many genders or sexes everybody wants to create. The women of color will still fall squarely to the bottom, and women in general will be on the bottom, because that's just been the reality of human culture for thousands of years. So it's important not to forget about our women, because they are being forgotten about. So I stand by at least what I said. I think it's too bad that these two journalists are too afraid to actually cover what this rally is about, because this is supposed to be America and we should be able to have these conversations. I want to point out again that a lot of times one of the criticisms I feel like are backhanded criticisms that me and my husband have been getting. Nobody really says it to our face, but we're sort of labeled communist, socialist, Marxist, whatever. I just want to reiterate that we are down here asking for the actual law that was written by our lawmakers and, you know, the laws in our Constitution to be followed. So we're not down here trying to remake the country. We're asking the country to operate as it was set up. So, and it's not. It's just not operating that way. Everybody wants to pretend this didn't happen. A crime was committed here. Multiple crimes were committed here, and because those crimes were committed against us and our daughter and our family, the people who did them feel entitled to have done these crimes, and they feel entitled to never be held accountable for them. So today I want to read an article about another case that happened here in Oregon. It was a daycare provider who got 6 years in prison for dipping a baby in boiling water.
So before my wife gets into that, I want to quickly go over what exactly it is that we are saying, okay? Folks, imagine for a moment, okay? You send your child to play at somebody's house with their child, okay? It's a schoolmate, okay? You trust these people enough to send your child over to that house. You don't know that these people are pedophiles. You don't know that these people are nasty and they're going to be playing sick games with your kid. That's not the way they present themselves, okay? So we sent our daughter over to these people's house. They just happen to be white people, okay? And unfortunately for us, they just happen to be related to a politician, which we didn't know, okay?
It was a double whammy.
So folks, we send our child over to this house. These people get her naked, okay? They play some weird game called Little House on the Prairie with her and their daughter. They had both of our kids naked at their house.
Well, they're
had their 8 years old.
They
8 years old.
They had their kid and our daughter.
8 years old, okay? This is your 8-year-old child, okay? These people boil up a tea kettle.
On the stove.
This is an adult supervised naked game, okay? It wasn't the kids that were putting this on. It was the adults. And they boiled up the tea kettle full of water and they poured it all over our daughter. Let me just show you what the pictures look like.
Yeah, we'll let him turn the sign today. So they boil up the tea kettle, they pour it all over our daughter, and then they, from there, they proceed to wrap her in a towel and stuff her in their basement and do God knows what else to her, because we've never, to this day, gotten any type of investigation into what happened there. So that happened on the night of April 12th, 2007. When we took our daughter to the hospital, Providence St. Vincent, she was diagnosed with a mortal injury, but they only looked at her for 17 minutes, and that is what the paperwork says. We arrived at 22:38, and we were told to go on home by 22:55, not because the injuries weren't severe, because we were being lied to by the medical community. They essentially sent our daughter home with us so she could just die in her bed, and that very well could have happened. It's just a miracle that she lived. So the next day, we take our daughter back to OHSU because when we wake up in the morning, she can't walk. The bandages are bled completely through. She was bandaged from thigh to ankle. The night she was burned, we take her back to OHSU, and between OHSU and Providence, they were so busy falsifying her records to say this was an accident that they didn't treat her. And when I say they didn't treat her, they didn't put a blood pressure cuff on her. They didn't give her proper pain medicine. They didn't give us bandages to go home with. We got nothing except for lied to. And, you know, I hope people are listening, because doctors in our society, they can do a lot of damage lying to people. And it's going on because everything in our society is for money. Okay, so it was lucrative for the people who covered up this crime to cover up this crime. And they're still covering up this crime. It's because of who they're protecting.
Folks, not only did they get away with not treating our daughter at the hospital and turning us around and making us believe that this was something that we were supposed to be taking care of at our house
Alone.
which was not only absolutely unethical, but it was actually legally criminal. And they did not, as mandatory reporters, they did not report this to the authorities. I wonder why.
And it's very interesting that between those two hospitals, if you look at the medical records, it'll say, oh, this was an accident, the water was accidentally poured on her leg, but there was absolutely no investigation done.
How do you make a determination on whether something was an accident or not when you don't even look into it?
And how is it an accident that a tea kettle was in a bathroom
With naked children.
How is that
an accident?
God's green earth, how is that an accident? I mean, they boiled the tea kettle on the stove and walked it down to the bathroom. Now, I want to read this article because this is very important, because this really speaks to, you know, the bias that we have been dealing
fraudulent because, folks, it was based on civil child neglect.
Yes,
that does not exist.
Let me dial it back. We get this attorney about 3-4 weeks in, and he says he's going to handle everything for us. The only reason we ended up getting an attorney was because the people who burned our daughter, their insurance company called, and they wanted to come over to our house and take pictures of our daughter's burn, which was really weird because, you know, like I said, our daughter's not a car. We're talking about a human being here. So we get an attorney involved by the name of Scott Kotcher. He works at the Forum Law Group right now. I mean, he's still working to this day. He's a criminal, yet he's just been able to run loose in the community. But we get this guy involved. He also doesn't call the police. He makes sure there's no proper investigation. He files the case as a civil case, which there's no such thing as civil child neglect, child abuse. It's just a crime. But he files the case civilly, and in August of 2008, the fraudulent trial was run. And
it was run here in the Multnomah County Courthouse, folks. Right here in your very own courthouse.
So
these are your judges. Judge Michael McShane,
That's
a
right.
criminal, mainly a criminal judge. He knew what he was overseeing. He knew what he was overseeing. He was overseeing a crime. Yet he let this go on in his courtroom. A circus.
That's right. So they run this trial. The abusers sit up there. They admit to abusing our child. They think it's funny. And at the end of it all, they're awarded money. You know, the jury comes out laughing after looking at these pictures, presumably, and awarded these people court costs, attorney's fees, said they weren't negligent at all. The entire white jury was laughing. I mean, it was the most horrible day, I can tell you, of our life. These people walked away scot-free. The whole entire procedure was illegal. From start to finish, beginning to end. I don't know how many illegal procedures that Michael McShane has presided over, but the guy should be arrested. He
is absolutely a criminal.
He should be sitting in an FBI office, but you know what? He got a promotion. He's a federal judge now, because the more criminal you are in the American system, the quicker you climb the ladder, right? That's what we have going on here. So I want to talk about this other woman, though, Donna Bigelow. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison for scalding a baby in the same year that Todd and Amy walked free. How fair is this? This woman in the same courthouse, in the same Multnomah County Courthouse, just 2 months later, there's another trial about a burned child. Except for...
Thank you.
We're going to try.
No, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Thank you.
fucked up.
And we're
Thank you.
gonna keep working at it.
We're gonna keep on working at it because
This
it's
is
really
wrong.
messed up.
It's wrong. So daycare provider gets 6 years in prison for dipping baby in boiling water.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about starting a fund for
This is a
Whatever you want to do, any kind of support, we accept.
yeah. As long as people come, whatever. We want people to know
Trying to
what's
get
going
the
on
awareness
here.
out.
I'm going to read this, though. Okay, this was an article from the Oregonian. This was a widely written about case. A 26-year-old Gresham daycare provider who dipped the face of a 5-month-old baby in boiling water was sentenced to 6 years in prison this morning. A sobbing Donna Marie Bigelow insisted the incident that severely burned and blistered the baby's face was a terrible accident. Although a Multnomah County Circuit Court jury disagreed in July and found her guilty of assault and criminal mistreatment. The baby, Keely Cole, has healed and the scars have completely disappeared, but only after a month of two painkillers such as morphine and regular applicants of ointment. Keely's mom, Jessica Mitchell, learned something might be wrong when she received a phone call from Bigelow about 12:15 p.m. on January 15th. She told me her face was a little red and she might be having an allergic reaction to something like lotion, Mitchell said. Although Bigelow said she wasn't sure if Keely's condition warranted a doctor's visit, Mitchell started driving over as a precaution. While en route, Mitchell got 2 more calls from Bigelow, each one more intense. The latter call told Mitchell that Bigelow and the baby would be waiting outside so the three could rush to the hospital when Mitchell arrived. When Mitchell arrived, she said she knew her baby had been burned. Her whole face was beet red, Mitchell said, and she was screaming in a way I've never heard before. The women sped to the hospital, praying together for Keely's fate. Once at the hospital, doctors diagnosed her injuries as a burn. During Bigelow's trial, defense attorney Cammie White argued the baby got burned by accident. In a videotape, Bigelow reenacted what she said must have happened. The videotape shows her holding a doll, leaning over to push her toddler away from the stove, and Keely's face accidentally falling into a pot of boiling water. Bigelow said she tried to lessen the burning by going to the sink and putting cold water on Keely. A defense expert testified that by the time Bigelow called Mitchell to report that something was wrong with the baby, she could have forgotten what happened because of a condition called dissociative amnesia. Deputy District Attorney Lori Fellows, however, put on an expert who said that the baby's face had to have been purposely guided into scalding water. The burn marks from the water and the lack of a burn caused by the pot undermined the defense's story. Mitchell met Bigelow because they lived in the same apartment complex near the Gresham Station Mall. At her sentencing this morning, however, Bigelow stuck to her story that the whole thing was an accident. As I go over it again and again in my mind, I should have called 911 and I should have called you, said Bigelow, standing to face the baby's mother during her sentencing hearing, but I seriously thought she was going to get better. Bigelow gave birth to her second child 3 weeks ago and also has a 2-year-old. I love children and they're my life, and I'd never do anything like this intentionally. I hope you can find it somewhere in your heart to forgive me. Bigelow's husband, Jason Bigelow, also told the judge that the incident was an accident. I married her for a reason, Jason Bigelow said. She's not a criminal type person. But Judge Richard Baldwin said a jury clearly didn't agree. In addition to Bigelow's 70-month sentence, the mandatory minimum under Measure 11, the judge sentenced her to 3 years of post-prison supervision and $7,157 in restitution. This article was written by Amy Green in 2008. I've contacted Amy Green repeatedly about our case. She won't report on it.
Now, folks,
I want to talk about this case more, though, because I'm going to tell you some things. Todd and Amy, they didn't meet us outside to go to the hospital. They didn't care. They didn't come to the hospital.
They told us not even to go to the hospital.
They told us not to go to the hospital. When we did go to the hospital, they started telling everybody we just went to the hospital to get some money, even though our daughter was completely injured. At every stage of this, there's been rumors flying around, that we just want money, that we're communists, that we're Marxists, all kinds of bullshit. I don't know what people are hearing about this, but these are the facts. Other people in this state, this Donna Bigelow, she's doing the time. Todd and Amy never had to do the time.
They never had to talk to the police, folks.
And here's the thing. When we went to the hospital, we were thrown out of the hospital so fast. Another criticism we get a lot is, why didn't we call the police? Look, we went to the hospital. They should have called the police. That's their job.
They turned us around, though. They knew we were in shock. They knew how to turn us around.
And they turned us around so fast, and our daughter had such a huge injury. I don't think people appreciate that's all we could focus on. Although I will say, when you look at the totality of this case, once me and my husband really understood what was going on, we called the police. And we've been trying to call the police.
And guess what happened when we went to the police, folks?
15 years.
These people came to our house and tried to intimidate us from making a police report.
That's right. And if anybody wants to follow this case more, if you get on Twitter and just follow us at for Qadira, that's Qadira, I am beginning to post all the evidence. So you will see letters from law enforcement. You will see medical reports, all the things that you need to see to verify this case. We are willing to give the public. We want the public to have it. Because you need to understand that this crime that's being covered up by your public officials, they are doing this on purpose.
And they're getting away with it, folks.
That's right. And
they're getting away with it because, for the most part, they will not let the press touch this thing. Guess why? Because it's true. Because it leads to bad things for them. So folks, it's in their best interest to make sure that you do not know about this.
They want the power to continue to tamper with and manipulate the system at will. So that is why they're not going to discuss this case, because it opens up basically an entire Pandora's box. If you can run fraudulent trials in the Multnomah County Courthouse, you got to ask yourself how many times that happened. I don't believe a single person on our daughter's jury was a real juror. And I'm going to tell you why. How are you going to look at pictures of a burned up child, these pictures, listen to testimony of people say they did this on purpose, because that's what Todd and Amy said. They sat up there and snickered and laughed and said, yeah, we burned her up. Yeah, we boiled up the water. So what? We're not responsible. How do you end up awarding those people money and saying they're not negligent at all? Come on, you guys. How does that happen?
That is not reasonable.
It's not reasonable. It makes absolutely no sense. And I can tell you, it could have driven me and my husband to some serious violence. When I think back on that day, I can't even tell you, it almost killed me. This entire experience has almost killed both of us, because finding out that all of your institutions are corrupt to the core,
Folks, that's not an easy thing to do.
It's so hard, because we both grew up here in America, and I had a lot higher expectations than what I encountered.
Folks, your doctors cannot be covering up crimes, okay?
Or committing crimes.
Or committing crimes. Your doctors, your judges cannot be covering up and committing crimes. Your police officers, your local FBI agency, and yes, we've gone to them too, they cannot be covering up and committing crimes. These are the people who are supposed to be holding criminals responsible. But how can they do that when they themselves are criminals?
I also want to talk about how much power doctors have, and why I do really feel worried about people who are getting caught up in gender ideology, because first of all, it's a highly expensive road for you to go down. You're going to have to come up with all kinds of money to maintain the augmentations to your body. And doctors, they love cashing in on that. You know, unsuspecting people walk into a doctor's office and they don't know what's going on with their mental health or their physical health. And doctors have a lot of power to start directing people to do things that maybe they shouldn't be doing. So, the medical community needs to own up to that. I mean, you know, it's become a business. It's become a business. And, you know, everybody's just grabbing cash and not thinking about anybody else. You know, the outcomes of some of this stuff, it's so horrific. It's hard for me to even take it in. So, and I know for myself personally, having been lied to by doctors at OHSU in Providence, it's really, 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 really hard to stomach. I mean, they told us to take our daughter home. What if she had died in her bed?
And she very well could have, folks. She did eventually go into organ failure because she was not treated or stabilized at the hospital.
Or given proper pain medication. This isn't
These people were trying to kill our daughter.
This isn't.
Why were they trying to kill her? Folks, they were trying to get rid of the evidence.
And why is this being okayed by the Oregon Health Authority? Why is this being okayed by the Oregon Medical Board? Because believe me, you guys, we have complained to every place that you are supposed to file a complaint. Me and my husband have filed all of those complaints.
All of these people?
Over the last 16 years.
They all do the same exact thing. They are refusing to look into any of this. No investigation. They said this needs no investigation. The police said that.
And
the FBI said that. The medical board said that. The Judicial Board of Fitness said that. The Oregon Bar said that.
It just goes on and on and on because the criminals protect themselves. But then you look at this other case, this Donna Bigelow, and she did 6 years. She did 6 years when Amy did no time at all.
Now let's talk about the difference,
did no
folks.
time at all.
Let's talk about the difference. Folks, this guy just passed by and
Thank you.
He
Thanks
just
for flipping us
he just
off.
flipped us off.
Can't-
Why is he flipping us off? Why don't you stop and explain to us why you think you need to flip us off?
It's not
We're out
necessary.
here fighting for our daughter.
We're fighting for our rights. Which people aren't really interested here in this country. Nobody's interested in their rights anymore, except for, I guess, when it's time to burn everything down. Everybody came out for George Floyd. It's so funny to me to be living in this fake blue, fake progressive, fake bullshit city. You know, I've got my LGBTQ governor, Black Lives Matter flags, Antifa, all this crap. Nobody comes and helps. When it comes to this black life right here doesn't matter. My black life doesn't matter. His black life doesn't matter. Where's the black community? I don't know. Where's Antifa? Where's BLM? Where are all these people that were destroying the city 2 years ago? I'd like to know. You said you
They
care
just
about
up and
this
disappeared,
stuff.
right?
You said
Like
you
a fart in the
cared about
wind.
this stuff. It was really weird last week to actually have these people show up because we've been out here for 2 years. They don't care about this. That's why I've become to believe that these protest movements, they're funded. They are funded and the protesters are fake because where are they now? We've been out here for 2 years and they got nothing to say. They support fascism. Okay? They support Black Lives Not Mattering right here in this city. You know, and I guess there's no W for woman in LGBTQ because I don't see that community out here either. You know, when it comes down to our biological, burned up black daughter, nobody cares at all. So don't tell me that women's rights aren't under assault because I prove that. Me and my husband prove that every single week by being a presence down here. Don't tell me that those groups are fighting for equality when they don't even show up for this. What, is everybody in bed? They don't got the time? What's going on? You know, and then you hear from the right all the time that, oh, no, they care about this stuff and crap like that, and no, they don't show up either. Nobody shows up, not the right, not the left. I don't get it.
Folks, that tells me one thing. That tells me that money controls everything.
Yeah,
and if that's what is actually going on here, then human beings, we need to wake up now.
Yeah, we're
okay? Because
basically
money can
over.
take us wherever any sick mind wants to take us. And trust me, there are sick minds who are running our society. We met them. We came into contact with them. We had dealings with these people.
You know,
these people are the people who are administering your society.
That's right.
You are in danger.
And if all they want to do is bleed you for everything you got, they're gonna do it. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
They're gonna keep doing it. So, again, that's my big concern. No matter where you go now, somebody's trying to get money out of you, and they don't care if you slice and dice yourself up. They don't care.
They don't care if you're safe. They don't care if you're healthy.
They don't care
if you're well.
They don't care. And that is what this protest proves. Every Friday we come down here and we prove that, you know, especially these protest groups, they're not even working for what they said they were working for. I don't know why the city got all fucked up 2 years ago. I really don't. It's a complete mystery to me. I mean, I wish somebody would explain it because
it didn't help no black people, folks. That's for sure.
It didn't help black people. It didn't help anybody. Nobody really got any help. It didn't help the LGBTQ community. It didn't help black people. Didn't help people of color. Didn't help anybody. Who it helped was Patrice Cullors and her friends. They went and bought mansions and ran away. That was it. The end. So, I mean, I have to say, as a black woman, as a person of color here in this city, you know, I'm biracial. My mom's white, my dad's black, but I grew up in the black community here primarily. I went to Harriet Tubman and Jefferson, but grew up in Southwest Portland, so I kind of grew up with the white this issue when they should be embracing it and trying to figure out what's going on here, because this city is in decline.
And we can all see that, folks. All you need to do is look around and see that our city is in decline.
Our city is falling apart.
That is happening for a reason. That is happening for a reason, because there are sick criminals running our society.
It's a failure of leadership. I mean, at some point you have to hold the leadership accountable for the mess on the ground, and I don't get why nobody even wants to do that. It's our public officials that are administering everything. So everything that's falling apart, that's on them. I mean, they're the ones that are in control. They're the ones making the policies and the laws. But as we've proven here, those policies and laws only go into effect sometimes, not all the time, right? So, in our case, they just disregarded all the laws. I mean, I'm sure they've done that in many other cases.
And they do that with impunity, folks.
And then there's other cases where they follow the law to the T, like Donna Bigelow. She spent 6 years in prison. I don't know if she's out yet or not, but I mean, how unfair for her. She didn't get the Amy and Todd treatment. No, she was separated from her kids, and she had to go do the time. Why
now
were they
let's talk about the
different?
difference, folks. In that case, the little girl that got hurt, she was a white kid, okay? Our daughter just happened to be black.
Right, so the mother was white, the perpetrator was white, the baby was white, so they all three together encountered a different system. In our case, the perpetrators were white, plus connected to a politician, so you see how that all went south rather quickly.
For us.
Because our politicians now, and then our wealthy class, no one ever tells them no. That's why we are completely headed downhill as a society. You have these really sick people who nobody tells no anymore. Rich people are just surrounded by sycophants that always tell them that they are so great and wonderful. Okay, it's money worship. So they get to do whatever they want, and that really screws with your brain over time. If you are always, being told, oh, you're great, you're wonderful, you're perfect, well, you're going to start thinking that you are, larger than life. So that's a huge problem in our society
But
today.
folks, none of these people, I don't care if you're Elon Musk or Bill Gates, you're not more important than anybody else on this planet. Okay, so, and that's what we all don't understand. We don't seem to understand our own value. We think our value is attached to this green stuff, this stuff that doesn't even exist. We think, and as a matter of fact, we treat ourselves like garbage when we don't have any of it. But that needs to stop, folks.
No, and we let people treat other people like garbage when they don't have any of it. I actually just had an old friend comment on my Facebook the other day, oh, you're not getting anything done with those rallies, you should just pack it in, because she hasn't been supporting, because, me and my husband don't have any money. And I told her, I think it's really sad that you think we're not getting anything done just because we're not getting any money. It's too bad that your brain is wired that way, because me and my husband are getting a lot done down here, as a matter of fact. We are telling our daughter's story. We are making sure this story doesn't die. Okay?
And we are
making
holding
sure
our
that
public officials accountable.
This doesn't stay covered up. And we are holding our public officials accountable. They're going to be less likely to treat people like they don't matter when there's people like us out here standing up. So we are standing up for all of you as well. Our system is already very problematic. We don't need people tampering with it. That is treason. That is treason. What happened in this case? They were trying to obstruct a lawful procedure. That is treason, actually. So, me and my husband are out here again asking that the Constitution and the laws on the books those are applied to this case. We are not trying to remake the country. We are not trying to overthrow the government. We are trying to ask the government to do their job. It's not the right of law enforcement and the FBI and our public officials to ignore this. simply because their prestigious friends who are in authority got involved with this. See, they just think because Qadira was a little black girl born to black parents who have modest means that they could just treat us however. And they're doing that to so many people. I see them lying all over the road in this country. My God, I don't even know why people want more people to come into this country. Why? So they can be abused? Because that's what's going on here. We don't have any systems in place to help people. We have people laying all over the road. I was just looking at video of Oakland yesterday. My God, it looks like a third world country is what it looks like. That means those people have poor leadership, poor organization. It's not just the people's fault that they couldn't figure out how to play this big monopoly game. I mean, literally, you got to figure out how to stay on the board. You can get thrown off for no reason.
Well, there's a reason. I mean, when you have no money,
right.
I mean, that's the reason you get thrown off the board. But that shouldn't be a reason. So the problem with our society is it's of people, by people, for money. Our society should be of people, by people, for people.
And we should be able to reflect on that. One of the biggest things me and my husband have gone through, one of our biggest obstacles fighting for our daughter, was people constantly trying to take our self-worth. Okay, because, I've talked about this before. Just a month before our daughter was abused, my husband was forced to complain at Nike because he was sexually assaulted on the campus. He had worked in the shoe industry at Adidas and Nike for 15 years. He was literally thrown to the wolves. Okay, he filed an equal opportunity commission complaint. He was hoping to get moved away from the person that assaulted him. But no, the Equal Opportunity Commission made sure that Nike was able to fire him and blacklist him from the industry.
Which was all illegal. They did that during an open case.
It's like,
folks, that was illegal. And they got to shut down Exeter to get that done. And now they don't have to talk to anybody about it.
No, but that's the thing. If you complain, what scares me is, okay, we have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? But if you complain to Bully or the EEOC, then they know you're the complainer, and that's generally who they're going to throw out. So that's what happened to my husband.
When they're going up against powerful places like Nike, maybe if you're some mom and pop shop or a little company, they'll go after you.
Yeah, they'll go after you hard.
For big corporations, for the ones who have the real money, they don't work. They work for them. The EEOC worked to protect Nike. They weren't protecting my rights, even though my rights were being violated. They didn't care about that. They bled us.
These protections, they don't protect anybody.
They did not do an investigation, just like the police in my daughter's case, just like the FBI.
And that's all they have to do. They can say you have these rights, but you go to use them, and nobody's paying attention. The media is very powerful. If the media won't pay attention to you, well, then you don't exist.
You don't get any attention,
right
folks.
Now. We
And then
don't exist.
these people don't have to be held accountable. And guess what? They are not being held accountable for breaking the law, but they should be. They should be held accountable for breaking the law all over the place.
And that's
the doctors, the judges, the attorneys, the police, the FBI.
And that is why our country is falling apart, because we have all these people in positions of authority who just do whatever they want.
They get to do whatever they want
With
impunity. They are not being held to account.
Nobody's watching the store. All the agreements we made, all the agreements I felt like I grew up with as a United States citizen, born and raised, none of them apply in this case.
They just disappeared. They just disintegrated like a mirage when we went to reach for them.
Me and my husband, we fought literally. We've been fighting for 16 years. We are prepared to die for this cause. We are prepared to die for this cause. I want people to know that. We will be down in these streets. We will be down in these streets because we cannot have our system working like this. It's because it's not working. Too many people are depending on this broken system, these judges, these attorneys, these doctors who are this also happened in 2008. His supervisor drove him around to 3 different hospitals where they falsified his record, said he had a head laceration, put some staples in his head, dropped him off at my house, his head all bloody, and said, wake him up every couple of hours and make sure, nothing else happens to him. He went to an attorney here in town. The guy completely threw his case. Did nothing for him. My brother got nothing but brain damage. Okay? So it's the problem too is we have the legal community in collusion with the judiciary, in collusion with law enforcement. It's sick because everybody just wants to make their money. That's it. That's the main.
They don't care about people.
Our society now.
They don't care if people are well. They don't care if people are cared for. But we need to care, folks. We need to care that we're taking care of each other because they're not doing it. And we are the ones who put them in charge.
Yeah, and right now, this country's basically over. I don't even know if we're going to celebrate our 250th birthday here in America because let's face it, they have control of everything at this point because look at how they've been able to keep this protest out of the news. 2 years. This is the beginning of year 3.
Folks, maybe coming down here.
And they've been somehow able to control BLM, Antifa, all the protest groups around here. Everybody knows to stay away. Everybody got the memo. Everybody's scared. Scared of what? Me and my husband are just telling you what happened. We don't have any higher position in society than most of you. He's a carpenter. I'm a caregiver, okay? We're not running the world here. We are telling you what happened. If our public officials want to start responding to this, yes, we're going to have to make changes and put in some more checks and balances because the ones we have don't work. All these ethics boards, it's just friends protecting friends. My daughter's attorney, when we went to the Oregon State Bar, that's Scott Kotcher. He's a complete weasel, a filthy weasel. Honestly, I hope he burns in hell. But hey, you know what? He's living high off the hog right now, working for the Foreign Law Group, doing just fine, tweeting out there, acting like he never committed a crime when he fucking threw an 8-year-old burn victim under the bus. You hear that, Scott? Burn in hell. That was a shitty thing to do. And guess what? I'm glad he's still here and that we are nonviolent so he can hear it. Because that's what we need. That's why violence doesn't work. You want the perpetrators to live to hear about what they did. So that's why we keep getting out here. Because we have work to do and it benefits absolutely nobody but the perpetrators of this crime and the cover-up of this crime for me and my husband to be silent. And I talked about this in Multnomah Village. I grew up in Southwest Portland. I went to Maplewood. I went to Harriet Tubman, and I went to Jefferson High School, so I was bussed out on a magnet program because I craved diversity. I was raised in a very white neighborhood. My mom's white, and my dad's black. I grew up with a single mom, essentially. My dad was not around, and living in the neighborhood I was living in, I really craved that diversity. So I was bussed out to these black schools, and I'm sorry, but I learned from the greats. Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. Those are my icons. Those are my husband's icons. So we take this fight seriously because we will not dishonor those that came before us. Those that fought and died for us to have these rights. I will not disrespect the civil rights movement. I won't do that. The Civil Rights Act, no. The fight is not over. And for everyone to be standing back, especially I am calling on the black community. I don't know where you are, but you shouldn't be leaving your own out here like this. What is that? I don't even know what that is.
That's why we're failing.
I don't even know what to say.
That's why we're failing.
Fine. fine. It was white people that did this to us, but you see, our very own throwing us under the bus, and for what?
Probably for money,
For
folks.
what? For money? Because
Probably for
people
money.
are getting money from Nike. Because nobody wants to talk about what went on at Nike because it's become lucrative to cover this up. That's just shit.
You know, that's one of the things that we notice about this. That everyone we try to go to for help, when they turn their back on us, they somehow get a leg up in society.
Oh, yeah.
How does that work?
I've watched a lot of people
How does that work?
get promoted around this. Ellen Rosenblum, our Attorney General, she was sitting on the appellate court when we appealed this. She actually was one of the judges that awarded Todd and Amy money, and I will post that award to Twitter today. So, like I said, @for Qadira, follow it because I'm going to be posting all the evidence in this case. We're just going to put it out there because we are not afraid. We did nothing wrong, okay? It's the other side that did something wrong.
And that's why it's lucrative to keep this quiet
They're the
for
ones
everybody.
that broke their own damn system. We didn't break it, they broke it. We didn't overthrow their system, they overthrew it because they didn't respect it. Okay?
And they still don't.
Treat people like this.
And they don't respect you. And that's why they're treating people like garbage, like actual garbage. And I'm sick of it. We are sick of it. That's why we keep coming down here. We are standing up, and we need to stand up together as a force against this bullshit.
I'm hearing way too many stories from people when we come down here who have been wronged by the system, who have nowhere to go. And I can completely relate. Because, I mean, I honestly thought places like the Independent Police Review, the Oregon Medical Board, the Oregon State Bar, I actually thought that these people, in these institutions were bound by rules and laws. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, they're not. They're not.
They do whatever they want.
If you've got a lot of money and you have inroads into the media, then you are going to experience a much different system than everybody else. And that is not okay. We're not done building America, I guess, if that's what we have here, is this kind of trash. So, I mean, our daughter living was it was a miracle. We have no idea how she survived, but she has a lot of health issues from this. And we will never be done talking about what happened here, because I don't ever want anybody, black, white, purple, I don't care, to ever go through this. If you're an American citizen, I mean, my God, if we don't respect our system, what the hell is it good for? What the hell is it good for? Let's at least try to act like we care about it.
Folks, because if we don't, then we are not free. Okay, we are not free. Okay, freedom is something you have to continue to fight for.
Every day.
You can't just lay down on the job. You can't just lay down on the job, or else this is what you get. Fucking garbage.
And
okay?
here's the thing. I keep seeing this fight between the Republicans and the Democrats. Come on, everybody. Both sides are in on it. Because we've been down here for 2 years. Like I said, we are planted living in this blue progressive state where we're supposed to have this governor that cares about the disenfranchised. I mean, she's LGBTQ and that's like a main thing you're supposed to hear, and that means you're supposed to have rights. No rights for me and my husband or our daughter. None. In fact, we have been stripped of our rights. Judge Mossman took our rights in, I think, 2012. Me and my husband had tried to use the legal system. We started filing lawsuits pro se on our own to try to resolve this. Mossman actually stripped us, and I'll post this to Twitter, he stripped us of our rights to ever utilize the courts again. But without his permission. How big of a punk ass is that? That's the kind of power Mossman thinks he has. He can just rip away my rights, rip away my husband's rights and my daughter's rights, like we are his property. That is how we were treated in the system, like property. So, come on. I'd like to know what the hell is going on in the city. I mean, we are known internationally for being this progressive blue city, and it's literally all bullshit. And my husband and me can prove it. We prove Democratic blue city. And then where's the Republicans at? Nowhere. So they try to act like they're for morals and they care about people. Well,
that's a lie,
folks.
folks.
I don't see any of you around here. This case is simple. Simple.
It's cut and dry, folks.
These people just straight up admitted to all kinds of crimes. Okay, did it just in broad daylight, left the blood in the tea kettle and everything all over the place, and they still think they're gonna get away with it. Well, let's see what Raleigh looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going until we sort this out. America cannot sustain this amount of corruption, so we will sort it out. We certainly can't be inviting more people into the country. I see all of our issues on the border. You're bringing people in, and the people here have no rights. The people here aren't being cared for. The disorganization here is tearing apart the country. So we need to get it together, America. We got real work to do, and we need to stop being distracted by the bullshit on our TV screens. Are you ready? No? Oh, okay. Anyway.
Folks, oh no. Read that article.
Oh, you wanted to read that? Okay.
By Marcus.
Okay, so now I guess I'm going to switch gears a little bit here because my husband wants to comment on this and I'll comment on a little bit too.
You should be able to use that for gloves.
Here. I'm not. I don't need the gloves.
Folks, we want to talk a little bit about what's going on in corporate America.
I'm trying to get to it. Here, you get to it. Hold on a second. We're going to try to change the subject just a little bit here because I do want to talk a little bit about, our border issues just because this article came up and it's just worth a read because, again, me and my husband have been talking about how everything in America is just profit-based to the point where people will harm people, just to make money all the time. And that's a conversation we're going to have at some point because, as you can see, the system is imploding. I read the other day that somebody...
Well, social system.
Somebody bit off someone's face on the Max platform. I mean, you're just seeing people are just coming apart at the seams. That's not a world that we can all exist in. People should be safe when they're walking around. And more people are so... disenfranchised and being so hurt by the system we've built here. And it doesn't help when our public officials disregard the laws and the policies that they put into place because, again, that makes sure nobody gets hurt. But I wanted to read this article. It was some comments that the Home Depot co-founder made. Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus blames socialism for lazy, fat, stupid labor force. Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus blames socialism for generating an entitled labor force that is lazy, fat, and stupid. Due to the economic agenda of socialism, Marcus told the Financial Times, nobody works, nobody gives a damn. Just give it to me, send me money. I don't want to work. I'm too lazy, I'm too fat, I'm too stupid. That's really funny coming from a rich person that doesn't lift their finger every day, but I'm going to get into that. As an alternative, Marcus 93 explained that capitalism is a good system because it is based on merit. I'm worried about capitalism, Marcus said, capitalism is the basis of Home Depot, and millions of people have earned this success and had success. I'm talking manufacturers, vendors, and distributors, and people that work for us able to enrich themselves by the journey of Home Depot. That's the success. That's why capitalism works. Marcus argued that business is meant to make a profit from offering a service or product. Marcus said a business's ability to generate profit benefits employees and customers. He also slammed those who believe business exists for social purposes. The role of business is to sell a product and make a profit, he said. The whole idea that a business is set up for social purposes doesn't make sense. Now, number one, he's telling the truth, right? The businesses are just set up to make money.
That's all they care about, folks, right?
That's the thing. When we were building...
That's a big problem.
When we were building our middle class and we made things here in this country, people had a lot more opportunities, but companies also had to care about their employees more as an incentive to get those employees to actually help build America, right? And then we got to a point where we had built quite a bit, and the CEO CEOs were living high off the hog, the owners.
But it wasn't enough for them, folks.
So in come Phil Knight. I think he was going to Stanford at the time, and he has this bright idea. Oh, I'm going to outsource. Outsourcing is not a new idea, okay? It's just slavery, okay? So he outsourced all these jobs, you know, not too far after the enactment of the Civil Rights Act. So this was another thing that really impacted our communities of color, because the jobs right out of high school started disappearing, and suddenly they had a new obstacle. Okay, if you couldn't go to college, you couldn't get a good job, which means you couldn't have a family, a home. Okay, so this took off here in this country. This idea of outsourcing, they were able to just go pay people 25 cents an hour. And hold on a minute.
That didn't bring down the prices of the product, though. They were charging just as much, if not more, okay, for these products. So, folks, when Marcus says that we are running business just to make money, he's correct. But therein lies the problem with society, because society is created to support people.
Anyway, I just want to talk about...
That's what it needs to be.
Wait, I want to bring it back to... Wait, I want to bring it back to what I was going to say, which is the development of all these welfare systems. It kind of became something people started fighting for because there wasn't good work here anymore. Okay? Because our communities of color, our poor communities, people couldn't make any money once we started all this outsourcing because the jobs started disappearing. Okay? So in the 80s, suddenly people just... where they weren't able to work. And that's how we started building all these welfare programs that this Bernie guy's complaining about, but it had to do with the CEOs no longer caring about their workforce. Then, you know, these people get so far out of sight, out of mind, because they're across the ocean, you know, and living in complete squalor. Thank you. You know, thank you. We will keep going. You know, more and more people here who were getting to go to college and stuff like that, again, they were enriching themselves. Yet the people who were pushed down on the poverty, they just wanted a few things. So people like to complain, oh, well, I see those poor people in their Nikes, or I see them with their alcohol. Well, what are they supposed to do? Have nothing? You know, it's just interesting to me because when we stopped caring about people here in America, that's when the country started little by little coming apart at the seams. And now we just have these monstrous corporations that slave, you know, here in America, they say they stand for all these moral values, but in fact, places like Nike, Google, who are they primarily slaving? Women of color all over the world. And now women are just being erased. We're just being told, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about your rights. Men can be in your spaces. You can be subjugated. You can be locked back in your houses. Our president can't even speak to what's going on in Afghanistan because when you don't know what a woman is anymore, you can't try to protect them as a class. So I don't think people in Western countries are really thinking about how our ideas about gender ideology are so harmful all over the world because really, I don't know what's going to happen to our women. That they are my main concern right now. And I know they're being erased because I've been erased. My daughter's been erased. You know, and my husband as a man, he's out here fighting for us, but we're not getting the support we need to really
turn this thing around.
To get anything figured out. For some reason, even the business community here is okay with the torture and abuse Qadira suffered. You know, in that article about that baby was on some serious painkillers. Qadira got nothing. She got Tylenol for a mortal injury. So the amount of suffering she went through, I can't even wrap my mind around it.
It's absolutely incomprehensible.
I don't know how she got through it. I can only stop and praise God that she survived. And I will not help anyone bury this story.
We need to care about people. That is not happening here in our society. People aren't being cared for. Okay, you can see it all over the streets. Okay, it's not just here in this city, it's all over the nation. People are not being cared for.
The point of the monetary system was to better life. That's what they say.
I don't know if that was the point of the monetary system.
That's what they say. That, okay, capitalism has helped better people's lives. Well, okay, now that it's not, we need to
1% of people, maybe.
We need to start talking about what is going on. And here in this situation, since the abuse of our daughter is being covered up for money, what does that say? I mean, what's the problem with having the conversation? Nobody's going to come take your money away. Okay, nobody's taking the billionaires' money away. Whatever. You have all your money. But how is that helping society? It scares me because these people, they literally live in these bubbles where they're never told no. So their crimes are getting to be more and more egregious because every idea that comes out of their mouth is just a good idea that everybody's going to support because they have money.
Folks,
you know, no matter what.
Our world is just all about making money. You need to understand, our world, it's about people. It should be about people. It's made of people. If we didn't have people here, there would be no reason for business. Do you understand? So we need people, and we need to be caring for people, or else we won't have people here.
Yeah, Bernie said that, businesses aren't for social purposes. Well, then what are we all doing
folks.
here?
I disagree.
You're socializing, and then you go into businesses and you buy something and so forth. It's supposed to be a good thing, but when it's abused,
be for people.
When it's abused, it doesn't work. It's just like I look at these corporations like Google, like Nike, like Adidas. They only need to raise wages right now in their factories. If they paid $5 an hour, we would see a big change, not just in goodwill towards America, but also, you look down on the border too, the factories down there, you just paid a little more, people could live better lives and stay where they are, so we can start getting our act together here. But you know what? Basically, Bernie said it. I don't have any responsibility to you. It's all about me, he says. Just me and my right to have a business. Well, you need people to patronize your business, don't you, Bernie? You need people to be healthy and well so they can engage in society and utilize your product. Hello? There has to be some society and civilization around your business. So if it becomes all about money all the time, then you got a problem.
We have a problem. We have a problem. Like my wife said, we know that money is the reason why this is being covered up. What happened to our daughter? What happened to me at Nike? It's just money covering it up, folks. And they get to do that because they have us all trained. They have us believing that we don't actually matter. Okay? And that's why we wind up treating ourselves and each other like garbage.
No, they just keep the confusion going, right? It's see, one of my things is I don't think we should have ever done any outsourcing. I think the only time you should ever outsource labor is when you literally don't have enough people there in your country you want to do the job, or you want to provide your product in another country, so you set up a factory specifically to sell to the people in that area. So you want to make sure that the people that are working there are doing well, so they can also improve their area
and afford your product, right?
Yes, and you want them to be able to afford your product. And okay, maybe you'd make a little less money, but why do you need $100 billion in the bank? Why do you need so much while so many suffer? I'm tired of looking at that. And it's like I look at our case and the unwillingness of the other side to admit to anything, to do anything for us. They were happy to push us down onto welfare. Me and my husband, we were pushed onto welfare after this. We had to climb our way out of this deep, dark hole. People generational wealth being stolen? They stole our wealth right there out from under us 16 years ago, and they're never going to try to give it back, and we didn't have very much. You know, after my husband was discriminated against at Nike, he had to take out his retirement for us to live on. We eventually ended up on welfare. We fought for years to get out of that situation, and that was all because somebody was discriminating against us. You know, discriminating against my husband, discriminating against our daughter, and it really set us back. You know, and that's the thing we need to discuss. That's why we set up places like the Equal Opportunity Commission and places like that, so when people were harmed on the job, they could get some help. But here, you know, today, I was just saying this in the car, the majority of jobs on this planet, the manufacturing jobs that are all unfortunately being automated right now, which is a whole nother problem in and of itself. Because, you know, once they have the robots, they don't have to pay the robots. And these people are already fucked in the head and don't want to pay anybody anyway, even though everybody needs the money to survive. It's so backwards. But, you know, once you're not taking care of your employees, then your employees can't take care of themselves, which creates a social problem. Okay? Which is what you hear now from the right all the time. Oh, socialism, it's so terrible. Well, maybe you should have stopped being so selfish with your capitalism, and you wouldn't have seen the rise of all the social programs, because they wouldn't have been needed, because people could have taken care of themselves just by going to work. But
that's not something that we pride here in this country anymore.
When you put people in a situation where they're working, I look at the maquiladoras. People complain about people coming over the border. They're paying like $1 or $2 an hour in the maquiladoras. If, you know, for these people, just jumping over the line needs a chance to flip burgers for 15, 20 bucks an hour. Hey, why wouldn't you take that chance?
Why not?
But it's not okay, because they should be able to get a decent paying job where they are, especially when the corporations are already getting such a big break, because it doesn't cost as much to live in these areas where they outsource to. Why is it okay for people like Jeff Bezos and Phil Knight and Steve Jobs? Why was it okay for them to just basically be slave owners? That's who we bow down to. You know what I'm saying? It's wrong. And if we're going to fight against slavery, let's keep the fight going. I feel really, I feel disgusted when I see the Nike swoosh. And it disgusts me more to see how much support Nike gets from the black community. Because, come on, that's a slave owner. So you need to own up to what you're supporting so we can change it. You know, I mean, you can't just blame it all on the white man. That's not fair. That's not fair, not when you're participating.
Folks, we got to stand up right now for each other. We got to make people matter, okay? It cannot be about all this money. Can't be about all this garbage that we're seeing that is happening globally in human culture, okay? There's no contract, okay, that we have that we can't break in order to care for each other, and appropriately and genuinely. That's what we need on the planet right now.
I know.
Okay?
I know. After my husband was blacklisted out of his job and we were pushed down onto welfare and we were going to the welfare office, my husband would say, you know, I'm facing discrimination, because his entire resume was Adidas and Nike, but he couldn't work in the shoe industry anymore because he'd been blacklisted. And you know what they said to him? Nobody cares. Go get a $10 an hour job. Well, when you have 4 kids, a $10 an hour job isn't going to cut it. So then we're stuck on food stamps. You know, I mean, we're stuck begging for services when my husband had worked his whole life to climb out of that, because he grew up in the projects of San Francisco and then came here and worked his way up from the model shop in Adidas to get his little position at Nike. Worked there for 8 years, never got a promotion. And then his supervisor decides that he's eye candy, and his only request is that he not be touched on the job, okay? And that was too much. Get out. No job for you. No, nothing for you. So, I to apply and nobody would hire him. Such is the power, okay, of the corporation. And the corporations, they don't care about people. That's why they are allowing, this flood over the border. They're not going to raise wages. I swear to God, if they raise the wage even $1 an hour down in the maquiladoras, you could stop the flow. You wouldn't even have to do that much. They're doing nothing. They're doing nothing because they just want to see the country fail. And the wealthy class, they don't care because they could just move around the globe. When you use the word globalist, that's the thing. Nowhere has to be necessarily nice for you. They're not worried about the condition of America because they can move to New Zealand or Belize or Australia or wherever is nice behind whatever wall they want to get behind. Because the wealthy people, they always have walls around their communities. They always have the walls. You know what I'm saying? So, they're always trying to keep the poor out. So we need to start thinking about these things more critically.
And folks, it's us, the people, that actually have the power. And I think that we've forgotten that. Somehow, because we are plugged in to their stupid little monopoly game, because no, it's not just them who sees dollar signs, it's us. They have trained us to see dollar signs and not people. But once we turn around, if we just turn our heads towards what actually matters, and that's people,
and you know
that's
what?
us, then we can stop their stupid little game, and we can come together and stand up, and then we won't be experiencing all these garbage conditions that we are experiencing right now. We are being abused for no reason. We are participating in our own abuse. We have Stockholm Syndrome,
That's
folks.
right, that's right. We have Stockholm Syndrome, and they feed that with the social programs because the people who are working get angry at the people who aren't working, when in fact, it's the corporations where nobody's lifting a finger at the top, where, like I said, just a simple raise in wages. It doesn't have to be that much, but let's start somewhere, because every American small business is having to do this. My sister is running a small business. She's had to raise her wages very high in order just to hire. But if you are outside of this country, you don't have to ever raise wages.
Yeah, if you're a
globalist, you don't have to
globalist,
worry about your workers' health at all.
if you're a corporate globalist, you can just outsource and say, oh no, I'm not responsible for those people, but I'm only going to pay as much, hardly any. I don't really, because I don't want to sacrifice my profit margins, right?
It gobsmacks me when I think about how they took $30 an hour jobs, $40 an hour jobs, and turned them to $1 an hour jobs. And
overseas.
They try to pretend they did us all a favor. That is slavery. That is slavery. And I'm going to say it again. Where is the black community on this issue? Come on. It's very, 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 very true. There's all this blaming of the white man, yet, what are we doing to push back against this?
Then we can't just be getting mad and tearing down our cities that we live in. That's not helpful, folks. We need to stand up and speak together. Yeah. Okay? We need to be supporting each other. We are trying to hold these people accountable, the same people that are running our society, who are using racist, fascist tactics against not just the black community, but every community.
That's right.
And we can't get any support. We need support from the people of color, from LGBTQ community, from all the communities.
Every community.
All the people need to come and help us hold these people accountable so we can start changing things here.
And start asking these really hard questions so this country doesn't completely fall apart. I've seen videos of what's going on the border. We don't make some changes now, we're done.
We're
because
done,
our streets
folks.
are already overrun.
We're done, folks.
Our social programs, they're breaking. Okay, this is not going to work. This is not a good formula for keeping the nation together. It's ripping the nation apart.
But the globalists, the corporatists, they don't care.
No.
That's what they want to do. Because guess what? Their
They
idea
got theirs.
is that there's too many of us. And we are taking too much of their stuff.
Their stuff.
Okay, so they are willing to get rid of us all so they can have it all to themselves.
And
that's what they want. And then they want to replace us with AI and robots because they're not going to complain.
And they're not
AI
gonna
and
need to be
robots,
paid.
they don't need anything. They don't need health care. They don't need money.
They're working
okay, once
really-
you build them, then they do the things that they're being asked to do without revolt. Okay, they're not fighting for their conditions. Okay, but maybe that's gonna change.
Well, the thing is we need to all start doubling down on the idea that we all deserve to be here. Like, why do the wealthy people get to kick us out? You know, I mean, we were granted life here. We deserve to be here.
We were invited to this
and
planet.
most people,
just like them.
They want to be up working. They want to be contributing to society. They've made it very difficult to do so.
Yes.
So I don't think that people just don't want to work or they're fat or lazy. It's there's poor
the way we have things set up.
organization.
Because you should not have to work 3 and 4 jobs to support yourself here. Okay, that's garbage.
And that is not how we built. That's not how we built the middle class in this country. And what we were supposed to do with the capitalist model, what we should have done, is outsource that good life to everybody.
Yes.
But we didn't do that.
No, that's not what we did.
No, that's not what we did. We outsourced slavery. We actually took the slavery model, and we just put it into these other countries, and for some reason it's celebrated. It's celebrated.
But we can't. We have to stop, folks. We have to stop celebrating this garbage, this monopoly system that they have set up. So we're going to keep getting out here. And one of the main things that we're doing here is, yes, we want an investigation into the abuse of our daughter. We're not sure who's supposed to do it because the FBI are in on covering this up. We're not sure if it's a congressional investigation. I don't know.
They are in on tearing down the country. That is what everybody in these buildings is doing right now. They are wrecking this country. And it has to stop.
But we're going to keep on coming out here and first of all asking for that. Second of all, we need people to start focusing back on what actually matters, and that is the care of people.
That's right.
Okay? Not the care of money, not the care of gold or silver. People can't be caring about cryptocurrency. We need to start caring about people. Because that's the only thing that actually matters.
Yeah, and
okay?
we need to start caring about the fact that these companies are paying a pittance because they set up all over the world.
And we're not set up to hold these people accountable. And we need to change that.
It's dragging our nation down, because people think, I'll come over there and I'll get this better wage. When in fact, there's these American companies operating right there that could do a lot more to make sure that the areas they're in are good places. But anyways, we're going to shut it down.
Folks, we're going to keep on coming out, but we want to leave you with this. And we always do.
Right.
Okay, because it's important. This is our affirmation. We hope at some point you join in with us because this is what everybody needs to be saying. So we can hold these people or start holding these people accountable that are running our society. And this is how it goes. I am the value.
I am the value.
You are the value.
You are the value.
We are the value.
We are the value.
I am the value. You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value.
Wait, I want to say one more thing. Remember, black, white, we fought together once.
Amen.
We fought together once to abolish slavery. We can do it again. Okay, and I'm saying we fought together to build this country. We can do it again.
Yes.
We can come together.
We will.
So, we'll be back for week 108. Did you?
I joined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And follow us on Twitter. We're going to be putting the evidence out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be back next week. Be encouraged, everybody. Things are actually, I think, they're going to start getting better.
Because we're going to continue to be out here trying to make it better.
That's
Folks,
right.
We're also in Multnomah Village at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays, so you can come down and see us there too.
And
Folks,
we can start figuring out who for America, who wants to make the country better, and who's in these buildings, playing games.
Exactly.
So, we're going to keep calling these people out. And again, we call out to law enforcement. We call out to the FBI. Stop the cover-up. Okay, you have the power. Show some respect for your country. Show some respect for the people that fought and died to build this country. Stop being disrespectful. Start there. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Portland.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name's Joey.
Nice to meet you, Joey.
I was getting into that.
I know, that was great. I was like, woohoo! It's nice to meet you.
I agree with them.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
It's true. Like, I've been thinking the same thing. There's so many people in these days.